I'm not purporting anyone's a victim. I'm just asking for clarification so Canadians understand what the line is for your party and for the Speaker. And in particular, I watched the whole thing unfold. Prior to the wacko comment, I heard the Prime Minister describe the leadership of Pierre Poilievre as spineless. Is that parliamentary?
You're not allowed to call into question the veracity or the character of, but
Isn't calling someone spineless doing that?
Well, what were we talking about? We were talking about visiting a bunch of white supremacists, a bunch of people who are advocating violence in Canadian society, who have published online, this has been well documented, published online very violent rhetoric. And this is stuff that Mr. Poilievre, we saw it in the convoy, we saw it on many other occasions where Mr. Poilievre goes up to these people and then when he's called on it, is refusing to apologize, refuses to back down.
I understand that you're voicing those concerns, but what you're telling Canadians here is that it's okay because you feel that it's justified for your party to call into question Mr. Poilievre's character in the House of Commons and characterize him as spineless. But for Mr. Poilievre to do the same, for a reason he feels is justified, which you disagree, but for him to do the same and use the word wacko is not.
I would argue, Vassy, this is not about both sides. This is a new version of Conservatives. This is not Brian Mulroney. This is not John Diefenbaker. This is not Robert Stanfield. We've reached a new level of violent, right-wing, extremist rhetoric. It's not okay to both sides it. It's not okay to normalize it.
It's not both sides.
It's not okay to normalize it. And the kind of discussion that we're having is actually quite incredible to me, that we would even accept that it is an acceptable thing to be advocating for these groups.
Who's saying it's acceptable? I said very plainly to you, Minister, with all due respect, those questions that you have asked about why he stopped there, I have posed them many times on this program.
And
the
other
Conservatives
places
deserve questions about that. But the accusation being leveled at your party is that the Speaker is acting in a partisan way to protect, essentially, the Liberals, a party which he belongs to, but that he is not supposed to represent as Speaker of the House of Commons. The Prime Minister did call Mr. Poilievre spineless today.
There are rules in the House of Commons. We expect the Speaker, we urge the Speaker to apply the rules, apply them equally, apply them evenly. Stick to the timings, stick to the level of discourse. But you're seeing this repeatedly now, Vassy, where day after day, in fact, another Conservative member was asked to withdraw prior to Mr. Poilievre. They come in and they deliberately lay down this kind of language, deliberately promote this kind of violent rhetoric. When they get called on it, they protest vigorously and then claim to be victims when they are found in contravention of the rules.
So would you have used the word spineless? Like, was that something that, I'm not, again, taking away from how they have conducted themselves, but should your party also take that into account?
Saying someone that is lacking in principle.
No, spineless is the word that was used.
Saying, well, that's a synonym for lacking in principle. That does not call into question the very character of someone. Mr. Poilievre was invited to withdraw. He had 3 opportunities, by my count, to withdraw the unparliamentary term that the Speaker, in his wisdom, judged to be unparliamentary. But again, Vassy, this is just but one example of this level of discourse that Canadians, I think, need to take a close look at. People watching us, people who understood that Conservatives of the past had advocated for a certain series of policies. This is not that. This is something different. This is something much darker and much scarier. And we've reached a level, I would argue to you, where the level of violent rhetoric, extreme rhetoric, and populist right-wing rhetoric has become something in this country that we're not quite used to.